So good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. You do not see my lovely face. We are having some technical difficulties, but if you can hear my voice, that is going to be just fine for today. We are elated and ecstatic about what is going to be happening on today. For those of you who are joining us, we are excited that you are here. You are looking at our wonderful guest on today. That is Dannie and Andrea Jones, and we are elated that they are with us. Many of you that are in our Zoom room, we are excited about that. And we are elated. For those who do not know who I am, you're listening to the voice of Dr. Lakita Long on the Marketplace Evangelist, and we are having our 30-day Revive the Mind, I Speak Life campaign just to inspire and encourage the people of God everywhere in regards to the things that God has put inside of us. We thank you for being patient. We had some technical difficulties, and so we are still going through those technical difficulties. But as they always say, if there is a will, there is a way. You don't need to see my voice. You need to see the people's voice who is our guest. So to get us good and started, we have our guest here. And what I'm going to do for just a moment, I'm going to highlight them in a different kind of way. And what we're going to do is we're going to hear their particular video, and we want, because they just did a monologue video for us, and so we just want you to just take a good listen to what it is that they are sharing, and we are excited that they are sharing it with us. So sit back, sit tight, and here we go.
Good morning, I Speak Life listeners. I'm Andrea Jones. I'm here with my husband,
Dannie Jones.
And we're here to
Speak Life.
But before we can jump in and speak life, we would like to share a time period in our life where life threw us a curveball.
Yes. And I just, before we go there, let's give them a little backdrop about us.
Yes.
We've been together for over 24 years, married for 20, met in high school. We have two beautiful children, the ages 20 and 15. But we want to talk about the time period when life threw us a curveball. We're in our 30s, young, vibrant, living life. I'm working my full-time job, and she's now transitioned from staying at home, taking care of raising our daughter, and going to school for pharmaceutical technician. And she went in that morning to go get a blood test because you had to get a.
It was a series of blood tests because you have to make sure you had all these different antibodies and stuff for the state.
Okay. Okay, so at that time, so she go and do all the blood work, and so around 5:30, 6 o'clock, I come home and I start preparing dinner, and I can remember that day like it's in the back of my mind, like it happened yesterday. Something like that you would never forget. Something tragic. Yes, it was about 6 o'clock. So I'm preparing dinner, the phone ring. And normally I wouldn't answer, but I answered. And
it was our family doctor.
It was our family doctor. And she said, "Mr. Jones, what are you doing?" And I said, "I'm preparing dinner for my family." She said, "Stop what you're doing." And I'm like, "Okay." She said, "You need to take your wife to the emergency department right now." We didn't have time to think or anything. It was like, you need to go to the emergency department right now. So we dropped the kids off to my mom's house, and I took her to the ER, Sutter ER, and we get there, we get a registered nurse, our name. They rushed her to the back, and I'm like, now all these emotions going on. I'm nervous, I'm scared, upset, don't know. So they hooking her up to all these different machines, put IVs in her arm. And I'm like, I'm afraid. This is my wife, this is my girlfriend, and I don't know what to do. And my hands are tied. And so I can't be the strong guy that I am for her because I see she going through. So 2 hours later, the doctor come in and say, "Hey, you got stage 4 kidney failure." And all the air in the room, in my body, in her, just went out. Devastating. And when I mean devastating, I mean devastating. So we're going to share a little bit that journey and that period of time in our life and what it looked like. And we're going to talk about the ups and the downs. We're going to talk about the 3 days out of the week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays. We're going to talk about the family vacation that we missed. We're going to talk about everything that we endured through the 7-year period of dialysis. But through it all, God had kept us. No matter what we go through, we trust God. That was our foundation. That was our hope. And I'm sorry, because I get a little emotional just thinking about it. But I thank God for the man of God that he has sent, Bishop Marcus E. Burns. Because at that time in my life, I was able to call him and he was able to send, he was able to come.
Okay, everyone, that is where the cliffhanger leaves us. For those of you who are listening, there are some technical difficulties that will not allow me to be seen. And so you're going to only hear my voice, and that is totally okay. So hopefully I will be colorful enough that you can hear me through my words. So let's welcome our guests, Dannie and Andrea Jones. I love them. They are my family and they are front and center. So listen, I listened to this clip before and I heard it, and I've also heard the story personal, and I've actually kind of walked through some of the backdrop, a little bit of the process, and it's still always very daunting. So let's just get right into it. Here you are, you're in your 30s, you are moving and shaking, and you get this information that you have stage 4 kidney failure. You're in the hospital, you are people of faith, and yet the wind is gone out of you. At what gave you the strength to even speak life at that moment? Because they were starting to hook her up to IVs and things of that nature. What was you guys' next step?
Our next step, well, before we was speaking life, we was devastated. We didn't understand why. I can say I was a little frustrated because, like I said, I was transitioning to going back into the working world, ready to go work and contribute to the family, and then that hits. So it took some time for me to kind of get back into what was all it? Back into like the
whole groove of it.
Yeah, and giving my faith back.
Yeah, I think at that time for me, when the news came, I think I was devastated because I'm going to church. I just joined the prayer team at New Birth, and I went in the hallway and I started crying and I asked God why. I said, we doing everything right. Why us? And I was mad at God, and I'm just going to keep it real because I didn't know why this happened, and everybody else living their life, and now this is taking place. But before
on top of that, still, like I have a grandfather that was on dialysis, his mom was on dialysis, and I had an aunt that was on dialysis. So, and when I got on there, I'm like, I'm 30 years old. My grandpa is, he's way older. His mom is older. My aunt is older. How am I getting on dialysis? But it has no age, because I've seen people younger than me in there.
And let me ask a question, because you guys were going, I remember you guys were going 3 days a week, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and 4 hours each time. And I've come and visited you in the hospital before. And so in that process, here you are, a young lady, you got 2 children, and you're on dialysis and so many things with dialysis. And you just talked about your faith. So at what point did you realize your faith was not strong? At what point did you realize, Andrea, that my faith is really not that strong?
When I got that news, and then I had to really face, I got out the hospital and had to show up at a center every other day for 4 hours a day.
Oh my God.
I was my face was low, like it dropped. It was gone. I went in and I would just go with my hoodie on my head and just put my earbuds in and go to sleep. I said, at least I could just go to sleep to pass the time. And then when it's time to go, I'm going home. But then as time progressed, like I started getting sometimes weaker. I started losing weight. They didn't understand why I was losing weight. It was times where he would be at work and I couldn't drive myself home. And it always happened around times my son was out of school. And like I said, my son was like 13 or 14. And I would call and I'd be like, I can't drive home. I'm not feeling good. I'd be like, Mom, I'm coming. He would ride his bike up the street to come get me. He didn't have a license to come drive me home. He would put his bike in the back seat. And I'm like, son, just drive straight. All you gotta do is just go down the hill, make a turn, stop if it's a red light, stop.
I love it.
Stop. And go, okay, keep it under 25 miles per hour or get me home. Get us home.
And let me tell you something. And because I know he's my nephew, and now he's little Danny, but he's really big Daddy now because he's 19, 20. And I remember when he was starting to drive, and it was out of necessity, right? It was out of necessity. It wasn't because he was trying to be a teenager that could drive. He had to. And so, what was it like to see your children have to also deal with, well, let's go back. Let's keep it 500. So you're young, you're going through this stuff. You guys are a married couple. How did it affect your intimacy life? Because see, people don't want to tell the truth if it affected your intimacy life. Like, keep it 500. Y'all, listen, y'all under 40, you've been married, you know what it's like to touch and to feel. So how does these sicknesses and things of that nature, how did it affect your intimacy life?
I didn't have, it was intimacy, but for me, like the kidney works in so many different things in your body, it took that feeling away. I didn't have the desire. Sometimes I didn't want to be touched, but still in all, he was loving, he was supportive.
A lot of people don't understand. When that happened, a lot of my friends said, Daddy, I don't understand how you can do it. And I'm like, do what? I was like, I don't know how you can stay with somebody who's sick. And like I explained to everybody, before she was my wife, she was my girlfriend. But I made an oath before God, for better or for worse. So yes, we went through the trials and tribulation, but through it all, no matter what happened, I'm gonna love her regardless. And that was always the common goal. The intimacy, I was young. I mean, come on, I'm in my 30s. And, come on, every man, keep it real. But I just didn't get married just for sex. I got married because I love her. And for better or for worse, through it all, I'm gonna be right by her side. And that's how I live my life, because that feeling can always, it's a feeling that everybody desire, but what is your foundation? What it does is stand on. And what we stand on is love, for better or for worse. And so this is my soul part. This is my real. This is who God has sent to me. This is God's daughter. So I have to treat her with the utmost respect, no matter what. I have to love her unconditional, no matter what. See, that's the same thing with Christ, how Christ loved us. We got so many flaws, but guess what? He still loves us regardless. And so this is his daughter. So I love her, no matter what. Yes, man, I desire sex. I was going crazy.
Exactly, right? 7 years is a long time, right?
I was going crazy. I'm talking about, I was like in the heat, but guess what? I dealt with it. She was kind in so many ways.
And let me tell you, and I want to bring it out because we don't really talk about that portion of that piece of life. And I love the fact, and I've talked offline, with Drea before, and she just shared, there's some things she just made sure she made happen, just as a wife for her husband, and that's what it's about. And that is also a part of the speaking life. And we're just trying to share with those of you that get into situations in your marriage, in your life, where things are dull or whatever, we still have a responsibility, especially if it's long-term. Hey, sis, you don't get the responsibility to not please your husband in some way. If you can't do it the way you guys normally do it, you better figure it out, is what I'm saying. No, you better figure it out, and do not be trying to say because you're sick, you may not have the feeling. He does. So be the wife still, or vice versa. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, because I don't think people speak well to sexuality in Christendom. It's not all about sex, but it is about perspective. It is about remembering that there's somebody who's not sick, and so going from there. Anything else that you want to share in regards to that? Because somebody may be going through that, out there trying to figure out, they've lost the feeling of being intimate because they are not well in their body. Maybe it's cancer, maybe it's something else. Anything else you would like to share?
I believe that you have a responsibility to each other.
Mm.
And that responsibility, it goes deeper than sex. But like when we got married, we know that our body is not our own. We are jointly together. So what I would like to tell people, hey, communicate, keep that open line of communication. Talk about it, talk about your desires, talk about what you want. If you ever be put in that position, just have a conversation, because it goes a long way. And we had many nights, long conversations.
and you're so glad that you are best of friends, right? Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
So
we
and
was
you can tell
friends.
that too. This is one couple you'll definitely, if you call him, hey, she may be in the car or vice versa. They're really that kind of couple. Let me ask we're going to steal a couple of minutes. And let me ask this other question. So you had to go through this process. You get this announcement of stage 4 a liver failure. You go through this process. Fast forward us to, okay, now you're going out of town. Now you're out of town, and what happens? And this happens about a year and a half ago or so. You're out of town, and now the prospect is happening that her name is on a list to get a new liver, and walk us through that process.
So it was a new kidney.
Kidney.
Was it January? January, that's right. Every January that he has, it's called, was it sales meetings?
National sales
meeting. So it was what, 2020? Yeah, it was 2020. I was getting him ready. It was like late Friday night. He left early Saturday morning, and I had dialysis Friday. I was tired, even though I had to get him packed up. I was tired. I packed them all up, and I remember laying over the bed, and I was like, telling him, they gonna call this weekend. And I said, when they call, what you gonna do? He said, I'm gonna have to turn right back around. And so he left and everything at early Saturday morning. My mom came over. She stayed with me. I had my son, my daughter with me. I wasn't feeling good that weekend. I was feeling really terrible. I tried to go out to go shopping, but I just didn't have the energy. I had to sit while my mom and my daughter shopped. And then it came Sunday night. We laid in the bed. My mom and my daughter left because she was going to take my daughter to school for me because I wasn't feeling good. And my son stayed home with me. And we was laying in bed. He was like, Mom, I'm being hungry. So I said, go ahead and order some DoorDash. And so he ordered DoorDash. And then my phone rung. And normally I don't answer my phone on weird numbers. I'm just like, I got a voicemail. They can leave me a message. If it's somebody, I'll call them back. But I seen the number, it was weird, and I was like, let me answer it. So I answered it, and it was like, is this Andrea Jones? I'm like, yes, this is so-and-so. We're calling from CPMC. We might have a possible kidney for you. It's being tested right now, and trying to make sure that your body is compatible for it. So it's getting you prepared. We're gonna hang up now. We're gonna give another call after it's done being tested. And if it's good, we're gonna take it to come on. So they called me took about an hour. I called him. Did I call you or did I text you? Because I think he was out.
Yeah, so they texted my phone.
Yeah.
So, it was, so I'm in Florida and I'm at the Pro Bowl. I'm hanging out with the guys and my phone is, they blow my phone up. I'm like, man, I just left y'all, man. I'm having a guy's trip. So even though I'm at a national sales meeting, I'm away. I'm like, leave me alone. So I finally get the text from my son talking about 911. So I'm downstairs. I just got back in from the Pro Bowl, and I I looked at the text and I'm calling, and it's like all this noise because we all gathering downstairs. And so I called him and said, hey, man. I said, man, I just left y'all. What's going on? He said, Mom's on the phone with transplant. I said, Mom's on the phone with transplant. I said, I'll call you right back. I ran upstairs to my room. I called him. I said, what's going on? She's like, they found the perfect match. I need to get to the hospital. Hung up the phone. I called everybody. I said, I called my daddy. I called her mama. I said, y'all make sure y'all get into the hospital. And then I called my boss. I said, I don't know what you need to do, but I need to be at home by tomorrow. I need to fly out tomorrow morning. And I just got in Saturday morning. I said, I need to turn around and I need to get on the plane first thing in the morning because my wife got a kidney. And my boss told me, she said, you got your company credit card. Go ahead and pay for your ticket. So she got, I called her. She found me a ticket. I was at the airport at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I flew from Florida to Vegas, from Vegas to Oakland. And right when I got to Oakland, I drove to San Francisco. And when I drove to San Francisco, right when I got there, she was coming out of surgery.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So she was coming out because homegirl was not waiting on you. She was like, you gonna give me this new.
I
She
told
was-
I'm like, when y'all ready, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Like, whenever y'all ready to roll me in, let's go. I'm ready.
you was not waiting on the deacon. Okay.
Don't wait on me.
Don't wait up, listen, because we had prayed and we fasted as a church, and man, we hollered and went into, I think we had all night prayer or something too, prior to that time. And so now you've got the new kidney. Yeah, new kidney.
Yeah.
And so how has life been different with the new kidney besides the love life? How has the life been different with the new kidney?
So life has been different. Let's see. So before the kidney, I couldn't really eat everything that I wanted. I couldn't drink because, and when you have kidney failure, most times, well, I still had the production of urine, but then slowly as time went on, it stopped. So I couldn't drink as much as I wanted. I had to take little sips here or there because what happens if I drank a lot, it retained in my body. So after I got the kidney, they said as soon as they connected me up, they said urine started flowing while I'm on the table. I didn't even know. They came out, and after I came out, they was telling me. They're like, we knew it was a perfect match. We knew it was working because as soon as we connected you, you started urinating. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, because most of the time they said when people who get new transplants or new kidneys, they got to go back on dialysis for a week to help
kickstart it. Yep.
And you know that God tailor-made that kidney just for you.
There was no kickstart because you was like, come on, fix me up and let me go because you was out of there. And listen, you guys, those of you guys who are listening, if you're just hearing my voice, this is Dr. Lakita. Our guest today, their family to me, great friends, great people to know. They're actually responsible for the I Speak Life shirts. They have a shirt business, Pick Apparels, and they're local in Antioch, California. So if you need a shirt of any design, they can make it happen. They have a beautiful business. Their whole family is involved in that. And if you got some junk at your house, pick a haul. They will come and pick up your junk too for a small fee. So that's just that commercial. They got trucks and everything. So listen, we are at our time, but because I'm encouraged. I feel encouraged, and I have not had a major illness, but I've gone through different things in my life in the last couple of years that had me at a hospital or whatnot. I can't imagine if it was ongoing what I would have to do and to deal with. People are coming into the month of October, which is both Mental Health Awareness Month as well as breast cancer time and month. Speak an encouraging message to that group of folks about trusting in the process. Say something, both of you guys, about trusting in the process.
I believe that no matter what you go through, you got to have a foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And our foundation is the Word of God. It says, Proverbs 3:5, trust in the Lord. That is so major for us because through this process, we learn to trust in the Lord. Better. We have a deeper, but before that, we didn't have that relationship. Foundation wasn't built on the word. It was built on sand. And so when time came, That's why that's why our faith slipped,
Yeah.
because we wasn't rooted in the word. But when you get rooted in the word and know who you are and know what's in the benefit package,
Mhm.
yeah, life gonna throw you all kind of curveball, because we know that this adversary, the enemy, he come to kill, steal, and destroy. But Jesus said that he come that we may have life and more abundant. So no matter what you go through, trust the process, but trust God more than anything.
Mm.
Yes.
Anything else you would like to share? You're my Shiro. I think you're strong. I've watched your process. I've watched you, and then you did a wonderful thing about less than a month ago where you spoke at our church and just set it on fire in all but 3 minutes flat. I'm telling you, the power of God came and just used you so eloquently, because when you've walked through the fire, you can see the power of God. You've walked through the fire and you've trusted God in the process. And for those who are listening, you're looking at Dannie and Andrea Jones, and they were sharing their story of triumph to victory. And we're just so grateful and so elated. And thank you guys. We're going to be having you guys back because we've got some great stuff going on for the next month as we do a full 31 days of I Speak Life mental health tour across the country. We are going to be delving into people in real life, real times, real stuff. And so we'll be bringing them back about the mental aspects of sickness and disease. And we're going to look at that. So this is our time. We thank you guys so much. We appreciate you so much. And thank you guys for bearing with us with the technical difficulties. You cannot see me, but it's not about me. It is about the information. And I am learning whatever things you are going to do, just do it anyhow. And don't fret the process. Thank you guys. And you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. God bless. And we'll see you guys at the top. Tomorrow is our last one. And you do not want to miss our 2 heavy hitters that we have going on for tomorrow. So tell a friend, 6 a.m. Much love and God bless.